Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Andrew Hersman, and I want to thank you for watching. The show is going to be about the truth. I want everybody to speak the truth with facts, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of different topics. And here's the phone number if you agree or disagree. It's 631 440 6012. 631 440 6012. And you can call in and leave a message, and I will put it on the air and respond to it. And it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree. That's what free speech is about. That's what public access is about. And that's why I have this show. So, first off, I want to talk about the red light cameras. Now, they seem to be growing in popularity, and I find it very disturbing that people are accepting these cameras and paying the fines and pretending that they're saving lives and things like that. It's very interesting because I looked on the internet and found out that in some cases they actually cause accidents. People getting rear-ended because they, slam on the brakes and are terrified of going through a red light. That's pretty dangerous right there. So yeah, I think we're going down a pretty slippery slope when we allow electronic devices to, accuse us of crimes. Because first of all, it's in the Constitution. We're supposed to be able to have due process, and we're supposed to be able to, go and meet our accusers and confront them in court. But how do you cross-examine a camera? How do you do that? I'd like to know. So I understand these red light cameras, they're not really tickets what they give out. They're just some kind of clerical thing. So basically they bill you and send you a picture, and you're supposed to just say, oh, okay, and pay it. That's not the way the Constitution was designed, and I don't think anyone should comply with that. So anyway, let's see. What I wanted to say about these red light cameras is I think it's a slippery slope, because now that I hear they're going to set up electronic devices that will give you tickets for speeding. And where do you draw the line? I mean, sooner or later you're just going to get 25 violations on your, trip to the corner store. I mean, think about it. They'll have a black box in your car, and they'll know exactly what you did, where you did it, GPS and all that. And there you go. You go to the corner store, and they'll give you a fine for not signaling fast enough, or you went 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, or you parked half an inch too far away from the curb, or maybe you touched a double yellow line with your tire. I mean, they can get you on all these little things. And, I don't think that's fair. I think, we're human beings. We're not perfect, right? I mean, if every car is supposed to be stopped behind some line, the microsecond the light turns red, why not just have a giant wall pop up where the line is, right? Nobody will ever hit the wall if they don't break the law, right? Blame it on yourself if you happen to crash into the wall. Well, anyway, my point is we need to take this on a case-by-case basis. And that's why we trust the police to make a fair judgment before writing a ticket. Right? I mean, if the officer was wrong with his judgment, then he or she can be challenged in court. So this is really about being treated like human beings, not like robots. We're not robots, and we do have rights. So why should we let robots, electronic devices, and machines, uh, accuse us of crimes? Right? And why should we be punished by them without question? We are not perfect. We are human beings. Yet we're being held to perfect standards with absolutely no way to explain why we did a certain thing. There's no way to check if the camera was working right or even tampered with. Yet we're being held to perfect standards. And if they expect a citizen just to shell out money, hard-earned money, and then accept responsibility for their actions, for every little thing Big Brother accuses them of, then we might as well just move to Cuba at this point, in North Korea. Come on. We're just giving our rights away because we're too busy, or too complacent, or too lazy, or too ignorant, or just too uncaring to fight for our precious rights. We're taking our rights for granted. All we're doing is paying our so-called tickets without question. Nobody's fighting for this. This is crazy. And when the day comes when you get 25 tickets a day, and things you can't go to court for because it's your word against the camera or some other kind of electronic device, well, what are you going to do? This isn't the Olympics where 1/100th of a second is justification for a ticket. There's many reasons and circumstances that people cross lines and go through lights. Sometimes it's justified. Maybe we're trying to get out of the way of an ambulance or avoid another accident or something. Like I said, we're humans and we aren't perfect. And I don't see why we should be held to perfect standards. Why should we just pay a fine because a picture was taken? You got to care about the justice system we have, right? Normally, a piece of evidence would have to go through a chain of command to prove it wasn't tampered with. Now, who took the picture? How did they do it? What kind of a camera? Was it working right at the time? How can we be sure it wasn't doctored? We should demand that every person involved with that picture go to court and swear under oath what their role was in handling this picture. That's your right. That's all of our rights. The burden of proof is on them to prove that we broke the law. In the past, there was a system that worked just fine since the traffic lights were invented, and it's called the police officer writing a ticket. Now that's constitutional. It's safe. It allows you to confront your accuser in court. There's no justification for giving up rights, not even for safety. Actual wars have been fought, and people have died to keep us free, and anyone who wants to throw it away because they think it will make them safe deserves neither safety nor freedom. There's actually no proof that these cameras make the road safer, and sometimes they even cause more harm than good with rear end crashes. So I just think red light cameras are just there to generate money for government, and they really don't do much for safety, and ultimately they violate our constitutional rights to face our accusers in court and take away our right to due process. So red light cameras definitely need to go. What do you think? Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. 631-440-6012 is the number, and tell me what you think about that. Alright, my next topic I want to talk about is psychics and mediums and people who make money off of giving you so-called readings. Now, I recently saw a show at the Paramount in Huntington, and from a guy, I guess he's famous. His name is John Edward, and he claims he can speak with, well, communicate with the dead. I guess he says not speak with them, but he gets some kind of, I don't know, information or vibe or whatever. So he claims. So I went to this show, and first of all, I couldn't believe. I mean, it was probably like 80, 90% women, and right away I thought, well, no offense to women, but they really are more emotional, more prone to, believing this stuff. They're more spiritual. I mean, in general, I'm not saying, uh, you know, it's 100% like that. There were men in the audience, but even John Edward himself joked that most of the men there were dragged in by their girlfriends or wives. So anyway, um, I sat in the audience and watched closely, and it was pretty interesting how he would just, you know, say he got a vibe from a certain area of the room, and then, you know, what he would do is what they call, um, I think, cold calling or something like that, where basically he would spit out a lot of information very fast, and some of it would be true, most of it would be wrong, and then every time something true happened, it would strike a nerve with one of the ladies or maybe a man, and they would raise their hand and go, "Oh, that's me. That's and then he would focus more on them and uh, give out more information, and it wasn't it's really specific information. It was like um, something that starts with a B, he would say, or a name that starts with a B, or some kind of letter or whatever, and he would just go through a bunch of names with that letter in it until finally he would get the right one. And I just found it pretty amusing that people would fall for this and actually believe that he's um, actually getting information from dead people. And it's people want to, I guess they want to believe that, so they want it so badly that they'll ignore all the false information that he puts out and just focus on you know the things that happen to match. um, one of the funniest ones I thought was he was pointing to one part of the room, and he said that there was something about a truck accident, and it was an 18 wheeler, and nobody said a word. It was, you could hear a pin drop, and then finally somebody said, well, could it be a train? And he responded with, oh yeah, it could be a train. Oh, all of a sudden he wasn't getting a response for a truck, so yeah, let's try the train. I mean, that was pretty obvious right there. But again, it cracks me up that people spend a lot of money on this. I think he charges up to $800 for a reading, and it's sad that people give away their money for this belief. But then I turn around, and every once in a while I read in the newspaper how these little psychics, they have these little houses with a neon sign that says psychic reading, and every once in a while you read how they get arrested for fraud, for fraud. And where do you draw the line? How do you prove that somebody like this is really committing fraud. You can't prove that they're um, not communicating with the dead, and you can't prove that they are. Right? So why are certain people getting thrown in jail for fraud, and then other people like John Edward, uh, being praised and put on stage and making a ton of money off of this and not being accused with fraud? I think that's a double standard. I think that's completely wrong. I think you know either you prosecute everybody who does this, um, or you don't prosecute anybody. And if you're gullible and you give out your money, and you know that's your own fault. Take responsibility for it. So what do you think? Again, the number is 631-440-6012. And I'd love to hear about what you think about this, because I find it pretty interesting that this a double standard. I mean, if you're famous on television, you don't get prosecuted, but if you're a small psychic in a little room doing your own thing, you get thrown in jail for it. Not always, but you always read when I guess they get greedy and it turns into the hundreds turn into thousands, and all of a sudden the DA puts his foot down or her foot down and says, okay, enough's enough. Now it's fraud. Again, where do you draw the line? I think it's another interesting topic, and I'd like to know what you think about it and what should be done about it, if anything. Okay, again, 631-440-6012. Leave a message on the machine, and I will play it back on the air and address what you had to say. Okay, and the last topic I want to talk about is evolution, because I always see it in the news, and I am absolutely amazed at how many people in the 21st century deny that evolution is a fact. It just is amazing to me, because there's just overwhelming evidence for it. Okay, you can go to the Museum of Natural History and see all the fossils and the whole tree of where every living thing belongs on this giant tree of life, and how any two species can actually have a common ancestor. So you can take any two things that are alive and go back and find the common ancestor for it. And it doesn't matter what two things you pick. There are ways to find out through DNA and the fossil record to find the common ancestor for it. I mean, it's a proven fact. People say, "Oh, well, it's just a theory," and they don't understand that a scientific theory is pretty much the highest form of science there is. I mean, basically, there's so much overwhelming evidence for it that it becomes a scientific theory. Just like gravity is a scientific theory. So, we're not jumping out of windows. We accept it as an actual real thing. So I want to know what's going on. Why? I guess it's because of religion. I want to know why anyone would want to deny evolution as a fact. I mean, it really has overwhelming evidence, and yet I still see people, fighting it, saying it's not real, saying it's, it shouldn't be taught in schools, things like that. I mean, that just amazes me. Uh, I mean, it's it's science, and I don't know if denying it doesn't make it less real. Um, maybe it conflicts with the Adam and Eve story, and that's just too bad. You know, I mean, the thing is, were people made out of dirt, you know, and a rib, or did they evolve from lower life forms? Not life forms, yeah, life forms, species, lower species. Um, you know, I mean, it's very amazing how um, people who deny it don't really know much about what evolution is. I hear so many wacky statements from people. One of my favorite questions I hear all the time. I even saw this on in front of a church on their sign. It said, um, "If humans came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?" uh, it's like asking if Americans came from England, then why are there still Englishmen? You know, I mean, that's how silly that question is. But no, the actual answer is the fact that we didn't come from monkeys. We have a common ancestor with monkeys, but monkeys did not evolve into humans. And that's one of the major things that people get wrong all the time about evolution. So, I think education, the schools are not teaching it right or something. I don't know why people have such a hard time with this topic and why it's still being dismissed as false. Uh, science doesn't go around trying to make up stories and lie. Um, what science does is follow the evidence to where it leads, and it doesn't have a goal to reach wherever. It's the evidence that leads us to the goal or to the answers. So I find that quite interesting that people deny evolution, and I just want to know why that is. What is the problem? Why? What is? I mean, the scientific method has proven over and over again to help mankind. I mean, it doubled the lifespan of a human being so far, with all the innovations that science has brought us, um, and the technology and all the other things that science has provided us, and yet we still want to just pretend science is garbage or made up or whatever. Very, very interesting and strange, I think. I don't know. Tell me what you think. 631 440 6012. Talking of science, I guess that would also include global warming now. And I think what happened with the global warming or climate change topic is, Al Gore kind of hurt the whole thing by, he's not a scientist, first of all, right? So Al Gore made a lot of statements, and I guess some of it was wrong or exaggerated or whatever. And now, because people know that it was wrong, certain things that he said, they want to dismiss the whole topic. They want to just say, oh, well, he's just a liar and he's got his own agenda and blah, blah, blah. And, I think that's unfortunate because when you look at 98% of all the scientists in the world, I mean, they all agree that global warming is not only happening, but it's due to the amount of carbon dioxide being put into the atmosphere by humans. Like cars and factories, and I hear all these crazy nonsense things about how one volcano can put out more CO2 than all the people in the world combined for 100 years. Come on, that's nonsense. I mean, one volcano does put out a lot of CO2, but it can't compare it to millions and millions of cars every day on the road. You know, um, and yes, the greenhouse effect works. That's why we build greenhouses, and that's why you look at a planet like Venus and why it's so hot. Um, I mean, it's a proven fact. People make fun. Oh, carbon dioxide. Oh, it's poison. You breathe it in. You know. Um, uh, we need to do something about this. And I think the best way to deal with this whole problem is, I mean, we have the technology. Okay, we can put a solar panel or solar panels on every roof in America, and that would supply us with probably more electricity than we can use. Um, and then if everybody had an electric car, like a Tesla, in their garage that goes, 0 to 60 in like 4 or 5 seconds, whatever, and can go up to 300 miles on a charge, I think that would solve all the problems. Then the gas prices would, go down. Electric rates would go down, or be non-existent even. We wouldn't need so much oil. We wouldn't need so much gas, and we wouldn't be polluting with our cars as much. That would really save us, I think, from global warming. So what do you think? 631-440-6012. I'd like to hear what you think about all these topics. We talked about red light cameras. We talked about evolution. We talked about global warming. And we talked about psychics too, whether they are real or not. So this is going to be the end of this show. Again, my name's Andy Hersman, and this is my public access show. And I believe in free speech, and I believe in people having an opinion, especially when it's based on facts. So I'd like you to get involved, use the public access airwaves, and say things that the major networks wouldn't dare talk about. So if you want to participate, one more time, the number is 631-440-6012, and I look forward to hearing from you. This is not a live show, so please leave a message, and I will then air it on the show and respond to it. So thank you very much for watching. Watch us every week at this time and this channel, and we will continue with the discussion, and we'll have a lot more different topics as well. And thank you again for watching.